So in the 1800s, there is a new mineral discovered. Oh yeah, a mineral called talc. Talc. That's the softest mineral ever found. And because of this, it could be ground into a powder called talcum powder. And pretty soon, it's discovered that this powder had a ton of really good uses. Look, I could sit my fat butt right here and spend the whole episode just listing what talcum powder is in. It's in everything, bitch. It's in mascara, it's in crayons, it's in gum, it's in all of your makeup. Yeah, it's in everything. But again, I won't get into that. Now, people realized that talcum powder was the best at reducing friction and keeping things nice and dry. Kind of like a dry lube. I know it's confusing to think of dry lube, but it prevents friction, hence the lube, but it keeps you nice and dry, hence the dry. It makes sense. Have you ever put it under your boobs? You shouldn't, but like it absorbs all that sweat, the inner thigh. A lot of guys use it on their balls, which I didn't know until like later in life. And I was like, why do you always have baby powder? I still kind of don't understand how you guys do it. Like, what are you doing exactly? Are they just like smacking their balls with baby powder? Let me know in the comment section. I never really asked further questions. I just know it goes on the balls. Anyways. So this seems like a godsend to Johnson & Johnson because around this time, people had some complaints about their signature product. You know, the plasters. Now, the plasters, I guess, could irritate your skin and leave you a little chafy. So Johnson & Johnson had this idea to send this talcum powder out to their customers who were getting like the Band-Aid rashes. And they were like, use this. It's going to work miracles. And boy, did it. People at home were like, wow, if this worked that well on my rash, it must work on other rashes, like diaper rash. Yeah, huge problem. Huge problem. Always a concern. But back then, it was like real bad. They didn't have any answers, you know? So somebody figures out that you can actually put talcum powder on a baby's butt, and it proves to be super effective on diaper rash. And the customers were like, holy crap, this is groundbreaking information. Johnson & Johnson, heroes, icons, legends, you know? So Johnson & Johnson, they're like, holy crap, this is an opportunity for us to make a lot of money. So they decided to start selling talcum powder to the masses under the name Johnson & Johnson's baby powder. And from the word alone, like this product is a hit. I mean, once women start talking like this product is stopping rashes on babies' butts and it's also preventing them from screaming and crying, I mean, people are losing it. This is a godsend, you know? In 1913, Johnson & Johnson had a whole campaign aimed at women using the tagline, best for baby, best for you. And it worked big time. The brand was popular. It was thriving. It was everywhere. It was a staple in the house. Johnson & Johnson's living up to their promise to America to be like a family brand, just making people healthier. But lurking around the corner is a whole lot of drama, corruption, destruction, baby. Powder. Turns out the main ingredient, talc, well, she's been hiding some dirty secrets. So, in order to have all the talc they needed for the baby powder, Johnson & Johnson had to mine it. I just imagine like Johnson & Johnson, like the guys, the owners, like out there mining. Yeah, but they're not doing that. Johnson & Johnson, they end up working with like a mining company or two. You see, when you find talc underground, you usually find something called asbestos right along with it. And here's the problem with that. Asbestos causes cancer. Yeah, shit. Asbestos can be found close by, sometimes in the talcum powder. Back in the 1940s and 50s, scientists linked asbestos with lung cancer. So it was like, it's just a risky product is what I'm getting at. Now, a lot of times when people get cancer, they don't really know the exact cause of it. I mean, it's hard to track down the single source of the cancer. There's some exceptions like smoking and asbestos. And since talc was full of asbestos, it was pretty easy to track it back to talc. So Johnson & Johnson uses a bunch of talc in their baby powder. So it was up to them to make sure, like, you know, that there isn't a harmful amount of asbestos in there. Everyone's putting it on their babies. But here's the thing. In the early 1970s, Johnson & Johnson was testing their talc product and found asbestos. And some lab reports even called their levels of asbestos, quote, rather high, end quote. But not a big deal at this time because asbestos wasn't illegal, at least like not according to the FDA, you know? But then in 1976, the FDA comes out and says asbestos is bad. And they were going to start telling companies how much they could actually have in their products. So you'd think Johnson & Johnson would tell them about their tests and report their asbestos levels, but of course they didn't. Because why would they do that? Because, like, you know, they're a large corporation. What are they going to do? Be honest? No. They buried those reports and they just continued business as usual. I mean, like, do you really think a large company is going to do the right thing? You think they're going to be like, oh no, our product has asbestos in it? Guess we have to throw it all away. It's like, no. You think they're, it's kind of like in school when like your teacher would say like, hey, you can grade your own test. Did anyone give themselves an F? Do you think Johnson & Johnson's going to give themselves an F? No. They give themselves an A. Okay? They're like, yeah, we don't have it. We removed it all. It's gone. The asbestos, she's gone. And the FDA they don't do anything about it. They let this whole thing slide. But even still, Johnson & Johnson buried all of the information about baby powder ever being linked to cancer or asbestos. And it wouldn't go public and blow up for like a few more decades. Oh yeah. So after all this, Johnson & Johnson, the company, the big bosses, they were sweating, they were worrying, they were like, holy shit, that was close. Am I right? And this little hiccup didn't like stop them, you know, because they continued to dominate the market in the 80s, especially when it came to the everyday products that people were using.